Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Man on Football show on the LFC Daytrippers channel. For a little bit of a change, the best intro in the world ever is back. I've made that claim to Conan just before we came on. I don't know if he agrees with me, but I know everyone in the chat thinks that that's the best intro we've ever had. Do you like it, Conan?
I have to say, it knocked me back in my arse. I thought, like, this boy's really giving us a big sell. And then when I was watching it, I was like, oh, Jesus, he's done a bit of work on this,
Yeah,
actually.
no, I haven't done any work on it. I got someone else to do it. A man called Mohammed Jogee from South Africa does our intros, and that was one of the first ones he come up with, and everyone absolutely loves it. Red Steve straight away is like, that tune. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's
Um,
great.
so you've never been on this show before, Conan. It's a little bit different to normal day tripper stuff where I'll tell you what the agenda is and we'll all be ready and we'll do all this. There's no rules in this. Okay, you will see references to this show where it's called Man on Football Show, but a lot of people call it Football in the World because Phil of this parish decided to call it Football in the World and hasn't shut the fuck up since. And most people call it Football in the World, but it is, of course, called Man on Football Show. Emma Kavanagh is delighted that Football in the World is back. So there you go. We actually will end up changing it to Football in the World. I even have it in the ticker there. Welcome to the Man on Football Show, not Football in the World. So this is how it works. We usually do 2 shows a week on this. The one on the Thursday is usually a deeper dive into a certain genre, I suppose, in football, or certain story. So we've done Zidane, we've done the Brazilian Ronaldo, we've done Barcelona, we've done all sorts of deeper looks into them. Monday night is talk about whatever you want in football. We take 2 jumping off points usually, and then the chat tell us all weird, mad stuff, and we talk about it, look it up, and realise that they're not telling lies to us. So that's how it works. So what I wanted to start off with, Conan, was that we've 2 things. One, is bad refereeing shouts, and that came into my mind because of the Diogo Jota incident at the weekend, and a lot of people getting very upset, including Darren Ambrose for some reason. Neil Warnock crawled out of his hole and decided to come on to news or whatever that sports talk thing is, Talk Sport, and I think it was, and had a right go about it, because obviously everyone should listen to Neil Warnock apparently when it comes to Liverpool. And I wanted to see, can you remember any really bad ones that may have affected you or may not, or you just looked at it and thought of bemusement? And the second thing is magic returns. So players, managers, wherever it might be, that return to football clubs and it's actually worked out, and because most of them don't. Most of them are romantic notions and they don't. And then the chat come in and they will talk about football, they will talk about food, they will talk about anything at all, and we have to answer them and give an honest opinion. Is that all right with you?
That sounds great to me. It's a lot of pressure on the chat, to be honest. I feel like we're absolving ourselves from any pressure for the show. It's up to everybody else to tell us what to talk about.
Yeah, but we put pressure on ourselves for the other fucking 39 shows we do a
Yeah.
month. So I think they should come in and help us out once a month or twice a month. But they will. We've talked about white pudding and beans on toasted sandwiches and all sorts of stuff in the last while. That was one of the biggest ones. So we will come around to them. They come up with some mad stuff. Can I ask you though what you thought of Cameroon against Comoros tonight? Comoros had to start with a left back in goal because all their goalkeepers had COVID. And they went down to 10 men and they nearly pulled it back. They ended up being beaten 2-1 by Cameroon. The Afcon is great, isn't it?
Do you know what I think is amazing? I don't think a lot of Liverpool fans have realised that the Afcon is back next year as well. So just after all the shit thrown around and all the worries about transfers, and you thought you might have got a year reprieve, it's back, baby. It's back next year, but it's all in the summer, so maybe you will get a bit of a reprieve from it. But I thought it was lucky when I looked it up. I couldn't believe it. It's like, geez, those poor fuckers. Like, they deserve a break. I see everybody celebrating tonight because Naby Keita's back. He's coming back home. But yeah, like it's a bonkers tournament. I don't know, does that sort of feed into it? Like some of the madness that's happening with the officiating and as you say, the left back one of the goals. Anything can happen in the AFCON, like it can happen on this show tonight, Gav.
Yeah. And listen, Gav, have you dyed your beard silver fox? No, it's all gone grey. Everything is going grey, man. I don't want to go too far into it, but everything is going grey. It's called getting old. I am old, and no, I wouldn't dye my beard if you fucking paid me. Cop on podcast with a quick question. He says, I had some roast chicken flavoured crisps yesterday. Is that acceptable?
I think that's 100% acceptable. Yeah, the only I saw I don't know what brand it was. I saw ham and cheese crisps the other day. I thought that is fucking ridiculous. Like I think if it's like a sort of like a roast chicken, a roast beef, I think you get away with that. But we can't start going down the ham route. I don't think
Yeah.
that fits with crisps.
Usually when this dodgy shit from Chris comes along, Lineker is involved, isn't he? Like he's doing some sort of fucking competition, and you have to send in 12 empty packets of whatever and vote for your favorite flavor, and it's like fucking curry fucking chips flavor and stuff like that. It gets ridiculous.
What do you go for? Like if you're getting a packet of crisps, like what's your default?
It depends. Am I putting it on bread?
Oh fuck! Do you know what? I don't like crisps on bread.
Mm.
It doesn't work. Like the textures aren't right.
No, it does.
Honestly, you can quote me on this. It's
Oh,
shit. I don't
I
think
don't need to
anybody
quote you. I live.
eat the bread. Eat the bread. Bread's grand itself. Have a nice sandwich, and then have the crisps to finish it off.
But why would you just sit there with a plain bit of bread and then finish that and eat crisps? Why not just put them together? Saves time. It's fine. No, you see, it absolutely works. If you put enough butter on the bread, right? That the bread doesn't feel dry, but it's not overbearing on the crisp, right? You're absolutely fine. My favourite is batch bread with loads of butter and salt and vinegar king crisps. That would
Yeah,
be
but
my.
it sounds like you're just trying to drown out the crisps now. Like get a thicker bread, get as
No,
much
well, batch
butter on
isn't
there as
that thick.
possible.
But the butter is amazing with the bread with the crisps.
I
It
think you have
absolutely
to go to
works.
bread. Go bread, have crisps, and then always have chocolate after your crisps. These people who have chocolate before crisps are mental.
Yeah, but didn't they do a bar of chocolate a while ago, or was it a bar of chocolate where Tato and Cadbury's
You have
got together?
cheese and onion chocolate.
Yeah,
Unbelievable
yeah,
what they're doing. It's crazy.
yeah. No, I agree with you there. Like I'm not big into that, but Garrett Max says he doesn't like crisps on bread. Get him off.
I've come in hot for this one,
You've
Gav.
come in hot, yeah. Listen,
I should be on Talksport with these sort of hot takes.
yeah, you and Darren Ambrose sitting there eating plain bits of bread. Two miserable fuckers. No, listen, crisps on bread is fine. Roast chicken flavoured crisps, I'm okay with. I just don't like when they start going down the absolute weird route. Like, completely and utterly weird. It's not good. Anthony Martial is confirmed as going to Sevilla on loan for the rest of the season, it looks like, which is a strange one. He's wanted out there for a long time. But can I ask you about, I don't think I've ever talked to you about this, and it's a long time ago now, but I'll bring it up. Thierry Henry's handball in
Oh,
the
Jesus
Stade de
Christ.
France against Ireland, right? Because this is a
Yeah.
bad refereeing call that we'll start off with. And if anyone has any more, throw them in. But are you over that?
Are you over Saipan 2002?
I was over it while it was going on, to be honest with you.
All right, then that was a really bad. You know when people say,
No,
does
you could
the
probably
bear
say,
cheat
are
the
you
wood?
over the time Stephen Gerrard slipped on his arse when we were on the course of the
Yeah,
title?
well there you go.
No,
Yeah, well
probably not. But the Thierry Henry stuff was mad, wasn't it?
it was crazy. Like I remember every single minute of that second half. I was in
Ireland were
Belfast.
brilliant that night as well.
I was in Belfast in college at the time, and I remember watching it. There was four of us, and one guy, Northern Ireland supporter. We called him Protestant Dave. We lived with him, and
Okay.
but hey, lovely fella. Like we were watching, he was rooting for France, the scumbag, like, and could not believe. Like I was sick to the stomach. Like Ireland, it was actually one of the best I've ever seen Ireland play.
Yeah, they were
And like,
unbelievable.
yeah, I remember back then they weren't that good. Keith Andrews and Glenn Whelan were amazing that night. I
Yeah.
remember Keith Andrews especially. And then when it happened, like just couldn't believe. And then Protestant Dave, in fairness, then played a blinder. The next day, I think we woke up from the night out or whatever, the night before, and he had an Henry shirt hanging on the wall.
Okay.
He had a
So anyway,
Barcelona Henry shirt.
Jeez, he had it ready and all. And
Yeah.
Dicko says there's some sad news coming out of Cameroon. 6 people have died in what looks like a stampede outside the stadium, I think. It must have been before or, in around the Cameroon game, which is extremely sad and overshadows the game itself and possibly the tournament. But we had to read that out because it's not good. But the Henry stuff, do you know what annoyed me the most about the Henry stuff? It's not the handball. It's the fact that he sits down in the centre circle with Richard Dunn after.
Yeah.
If
I
I'm Richard
didn't
Dunn,
like
I'm
Richard Dunn.
absolutely going through him.
No, that was Richard Dunn's fault. I can see if I was Henry, I would do the same. Like, try to curry favour with somebody, try to see that, look, I'm not a bad guy totally. Richard Dunn should have told him to fuck off. Like, he let him sit there and chatted away to him. Like, I would never have done that. Like, he never have sat there talking to him.
And the word out of it was that the French dressing room was fairly quiet after. You know, they knew what had gone on. They knew what was going to come out afterwards with regards to it. And like I remember afterwards, like Ireland going absolutely mental. Like there was like protests outside the French embassy and everything in Dublin.
Yeah.
It
The
was
rule
absolutely.
33, remember? We're protesting,
Oh,
actually official
yeah, we
protest,
wanted to be
making a
in as
33rd
33.
team
Yeah,
in the
we just
World
throw
Cup.
us in any group. We don't mind which one it is. Just throw us in any
Yeah,
group.
we
Which
won't cause a fuss. We'll be out after the group stage anyway, don't worry.
yeah, we won't cause a big deal. We just throw it up for 3 games and we'll have a bit of laugh. Just leave us to it. Brian Murphy says one awful decision that might have cost us the league in 08-09. This is Liverpool related. Was Howard Webb at Old Trafford. United nailed Spurs 2 in the second half. Gives United a shocking penalty decision. United score, Spurs collapse and lose 5-2. That's kind of gone out of my memory. I think the same season, isn't that the one where that guy scores against Villa? Actually, against Villa in the last minute. What was his name? Federico Makeda.
Federico Makeda. He scored bloody twice against Villa in 2 different games as well. He scored a screamer that time. That was peak Villa at Old Trafford then. Like, you know, just always beating United and they can never get the job done. But it's funny that came up, like that United decision, because a year later was one of the lowest points in my life. This is how sad it is to be a Villa fan. Villa were in the League Cup final against United. And like Bonahor goes through, Vidic brings him down, straight through in goal, and he doesn't give him a red card. Villa scored a penalty. They go 1-0 up, sure, but I still remember Per Martin O'Neill, the look on his face, and you could see him mouthing, it has to be red, it has to be red.
Yeah.
And they didn't give him the red. Would have changed everything. And like, you know, O'Neill was gone then a few months later. Villa, look, we all know what happened then, but yeah, I think that was a big sort of sliding doors moment.
The one, there's another Liverpool one in here. He said the offside away to City in 13-14. Sterling is 3 yards onside. That's right. Liverpool are away at Man City. Suarez sticks Sterling through, scores, and he's literally 3 yards onside. When you see the still of it, it's absolutely unbelievable. And the referee or the linesman puts his flag up. Graham Powell, 2 or 3 yellows. That was against Croatia. Was that against Croatia?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Was that 2010? The World Cup in South Africa.
Oh, the one we weren't at because we've Henry.
Yeah. The one if we'd have been in that group, Graham Powell would have been grand.
We would have been appealing for a 17th team to go through to the knockout rounds.
Yeah. Can we not just let us hang on here and just keep going through and see what happens? But that one for Sterling was absolutely crazy. There was a strange one at Villa as well. Was it last season?
The goal line, like the Orient Island carry, like against Sheffield United, it was the first game. The very first game after lockdown, like Villa, I don't know who decided to put Villa Sheffield United on as the big curtain raiser for the season coming back, and Nyland was like one of the worst keepers I've ever seen. Like a couple of games later, he tries to throw the ball out to the left, and he throws it to Jota to the right. He tried to throw it to the left, and it dropped in front of Jota to the right. Jota blazed it over, thankfully, but yeah, he carried the ball into the net against Wolves, and then leaned against the post, the inside of the post. And the goal line technology wasn't turned on.
and didn't Villa stay up? And was a chef who went down?
Bournemouth went down by a point. Yeah, so this is the thing. Like, you know, Villa got a point that game.
Yeah.
So officially, well, that obviously did help. But
and do you reckon that they hadn't switched on the goal line technology?
Yeah, they made an announcement at halftime though, saying it's been switched on now. So I don't know what everyone's complaining about.
Apparently, he went back into the dressing room and was like, "Oh, I better knock that watch on."
Yeah.
So he knocks it on, but that was a mad one. That was a mad one. Talking about people coming back, and we'd start with Villa because, you know, Gerrard is in there. I want to get your thoughts on him so far. Why not? Because you're a Villa fan. He's brought in Coutinho, who's a former Liverpool player coming back to the Premier League after being very, very good in the Premier League, and still being linked with Luis Suarez as well. Conan, if you can get Luis Suarez into your life for 6 months, get him into your life, man. It'll be the best 6 months you'll ever have because he's an absolute headbanger. But he's a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant footballer. What have you made of Gerrard and the signing so far, and the possibility that he's still trying to move on Luis Suarez?
Well, like firstly, yeah, like everybody loves Gerrard. Like, you know, they're raving about him. Like he has these. It sounds so simple and it's not, you know, but the main thing he's brought is just that the standards, like, you know, like even the way he talks, because he commands respect as well. The way he walks, like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
way he carries himself is somebody you would follow. But he was talking there the other day about these signings that he brought in, and he just said the players here need to accept that I'm going to improve this club in every area of it.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine somebody saying that, like,
Yeah,
and he believes that that's what he's going to do, and
yeah.
that's what he's spending every hour doing. And he said, if somebody comes in your place, then you just have to accept it, fight for your place, get on with it, and fight for some game time. And like, that's like, for Villa fans, that's just like, yes, like, here we go. Like, I was on here talking about loving Dean Smith. I think when he got sacked, I was like, oh, I don't know who they're going to bring in or whatever. And like, Smith did a great job, but then maybe after being there for such a long time, maybe formed a bit of relationships. Maybe players were comfortable. Maybe, like,
Yeah.
players got Curry favored. But with Gerrard now, it's just like, here's the standard. None of you are at it yet. Like, so Suarez is on the table, even though I would look at that and think, well, we already have Watkins, we have Ings. Obviously, he still takes Suarez, but it's just not. It feels like a cherry on top signing. Like, we just have so many other areas to fix. And in fairness to Gerrard, the signing so far have been perfect. Like, Villa, the glaring thing for the last year is they needed a left back and they needed a defensive midfielder. So we still need a defensive midfielder, and they tried to get Basuma, didn't pay enough money, and they've moved on, and they're looking like they're getting Bentancur now from Juventus. Well, that's the talk at the minute.
16
But
million, I think, is the price on that.
yeah, look at Dina, no hanging around. If they had waited one extra week, that doesn't happen because Benitez is gone, and like, everything changes at Everton. But they got it, and then on top of that, bringing in Villa needed another attacking dimension. It wasn't a critical area, but then bringing Coutinho into it it's just magic, like, and then it's already made Buendia a better player. It's helping Gerrard play the way he wants to play. They've got a bit of character as well, which they haven't had. I think I mentioned this before when we talked about Gerrard. They don't wilt like they used to, which is probably what you'd expect from somebody like Gerrard managing.
The thing with Gerrard for me is, and he's always going to interest, like, he's down as one of the greatest players that's ever played for Liverpool, and no matter how anti-Liverpool you are, you have to look and go, what a fucking player he was, because he was just outrageous. Like, he was so fucking good, and probably deserved to play in some better teams than he did at Liverpool. But the goals he scores and the performances, and some people do look back to the time when he could have left and Chelsea and this, that, but that was at a time where he was looking, going, well, what are you going to do? Like, are you going to give me the deal? And where are we going? Because that's a big thing in contracts now. When you look at the likes of Alisson, Fabinho, Virgil van Dijk, whoever signed those deals at Liverpool during the summer, or between the summer and now, they're all looking, saying, is Salah staying? Are we bringing in players? Because everyone wants to know how they're going to develop, particularly at that stage of their career where this is probably my last big contract. My last big one before I probably move on and might want to go home to, whether it's, Holland or wherever it might be, Brazil.
Yeah.
And, when you look at it, that's what players want. They want to see what's going on. And when you look at Gerrard at that time around at Liverpool, he was probably right to push the club a little bit, but that's held against him a tiny, tiny bit. He finishes up, he's treated horrendously by Brendan Rodgers, in my opinion. There's no reason for Brendan Rodgers not to give him a 1-year extension on his deal and say, listen, you mightn't play as much, but you're huge at this club. And Brendan Rodgers' ego wanted only Brendan Rodgers to have an ego at that club, or any standing at that club. And he was quite happy for Gerrard to go, in my opinion. Gerrard goes off to LA for 18 months or whatever it is, and it's actually sad to watch when he's over there, because he's clearly so much better than everyone over there. But you can see the motivation has gone out of him once he's not competing for everything at Liverpool. He comes back and he's at Liverpool and he's coaching, and he openly says how much he's learned from Benitez, from Houllier and things, and even Klopp in a short space of time. But the thing is, when he gets offered the Rangers job, it's interesting you mentioned standards. Rangers are upside down at the time when he goes for that job, right? And from what I've read and heard, is Steven Gerrard went into that club and went, listen, I'm not coming into what this mess is. I'll come in because it is a mess, but I'll come in. But standards go up the day I come in, and they stay at the level I want them. And he wanted everything right at Rangers, and he said, look, if you're not willing to do that, I'm the wrong man for you. Get someone that'll say yes to you. And he goes in, and in fairness, they book up their ideas, and they're brilliant under him. They should probably win 2 league titles. But he win one. He gets way too zealous after a game, a win at Celtic Park in the New Year derby, and he's shouting into cameras and stuff, and he'll never do that again as a manager. He learns from that in a big way, and they trounced the league last season. And you were saying about standards, that's the least I expect from Steven Gerrard now, Conan. That's being honest with you. He'll go in there and he will just look at, no matter who the player is, and go, if I can find someone better than you, I will. And I don't care who you are. Like, I'll put it to you this way. If you went into Aston Villa tomorrow and named the best Aston Villa player in the last 20 years, name him. Name the best player in Aston Villa in the last
Jack Grealish.
Okay, so if he goes in there tomorrow or goes in there in the summer and Jack Grealish is there and he feels Jack Grealish isn't pulling his weight, he'll just end Jack Grealish. That'll be it. He will bring in Coutinho and go, I'll get him to do it. And he's done it way more than you have. And that's his standards. And he has massive, massive standards, because that's the standards he's held himself to for his whole career. And I think that's a huge thing in football. And he's touted to be the next Liverpool manager after Klopp leaves. And I think if he continues on the way he is, I think Liverpool will come calling. And no matter what club he's at, he'll come and manage Liverpool. That's just the way it is, right? But I'm a bit... Is he good enough? Is he not good enough? His standards absolutely are. And I think what he's done at Villa so far has been really impressive, because the Coutinho signing gives him time. It's a good signing, but it gives him time. It doesn't heap a load of pressure on him. You know, spending 50 million on a number 10. He hasn't done that.
Yeah.
Luca Dean is a really good one. Really good one, because he's the sort of left back you want. Good going forward, really good left foot, solid defensively. And I'm just really interested to see how he gets on. I really am, because like this season, it's a learning curve for him. What would you like to see from him going into next season? Already looking forward to that, because they'll be fine in the Premier League. What does he have to do for you? Because I think he's had a brilliant start. Well, and he's winding up Everton fans as well. He's having with them as well.
But like that's part of the package. Like, you have to consider, like, when did he come? November. Like, he weeks that he's been there basically, and already, right? If Gerrard left today, like you're talking about him being the next Liverpool manager, if Gerrard left today, Villa are in a better place, right? The team is already better. The squad looks stronger.
Yeah.
The mentality of the place is different. I don't mean just from the players, but it's mostly the players, like, where everybody realizes standard now. Like, Gerrard's talking about his first 6 games. He only won 3 matches. He doesn't want that to be a pattern with Aston Villa. He doesn't want to be winning matches and losing a match. And we were sort of thinking, welcome to Villa, mate. Like, you know, get used to it. He's not getting used to it. And now the fans, like, all of the fans have their chest puffed out a bit more, and it's a bit more... Like, I think Aston Villa fans would have always said, like, we're a big club, we're massive, we won the Champions League back in '82, and, you know, like, but I don't know if you had to scratch the surface there. I don't know how stable that ground was. Whereas now, with Gerrard only been there a few weeks, there's definitely a lot more confidence around the place. So much so that, like, you know, a few weeks ago, people would have been worried about Ollie Watkins and talks of Arsenal and other teams. And now it's just like, you have all the confidence in the world that you get anybody else in. And actually, the way it is now at the minute, Watkins is the sort of person who people are saying he needs to do more, he needs to score more, because everybody else is having to contribute. Matt Target out of the team.
That's it. Is that the comfort level thing? Because if you have the likes of an Ollie Watkins or you know, a midfield or whoever it might be, you know, people are saying their Digne is far from solid defensively, Gav, says Aidan. Yeah, I think he's really good in the team that Gerrard will look to play, because the emphasis on Digne will be to get forward and supply, and they'll protect him as much as he can if he needs to be. I think he's okay, Digne. I just think we've watched him. I think we've watched him under a flailing Everton side over the last couple of years. I think he's absolutely fine. I think he's a great signing. But you talked about they don't wilt. They don't. Does that feed into the fans as well? Because, you know, I've seen Villa over the last 10 years probably, and you see them go a goal down away from home, and you go, that's the game over. And even at Villa Park, where you go, you get 1-0 up against them, hold them out for 15, they get a bit frustrated, and you probably pick them off 2 or 3. And now when you look at Villa, you go, they're never out of a game.
Yeah, and the fans turn as well. Like, I always say Villa Park can be the best place, but, like, very quickly can be the worst place. And I've seen some bad Villa players over the years, and they don't cope with Villa Park when the fans turn on them. Like, just a groan from the whole end or whatever it is. But But when you have a manager like Gerrard there who's so sure of himself, it just feeds into the rest of it then. Like he's not worried about a fan groaning. Like, and actually what it's doing then is that the fans are just more supportive of the whole setup, and he's barking orders more. The first game I remember him screaming at John McGinn. Like I didn't know what to expect. I hadn't been watching him at Liverpool or at Rangers. I saw he went unbeaten in a season, and I couldn't believe that people were like, "Oh, well, it's a Scottish league." It's like he went unbeaten. Like, what do you want him to do? It's like people trying to slag Henrik Larsson for scoring 57 goals. Like, how many fucking goals do you want them to score? Like, a good striker scores a lot of goals. A good manager goes unbeaten. And he was roaring at John McGinn just because he was drifting out of position. It just sounded simple like that. And I thought, okay, actually, he's got an eye for detail that I didn't know he had. And yeah, like I saw an interview of Ben Mee recently. I don't know why he was watching a Burnley player being interviewed, but he was going through some of the teams. I think he was doing a word association thing. And Aston Villa came up and he said, unpredictable. That was the word. That's the word that he used of Aston Villa. And it's just exactly what you're saying. Villa could be class in their day, sort of, a tricky opponent, but once you get a goal, they're buried. Everybody just sort of throws a towel in. But now, after 2 signings and a few weeks of training and introducing these players and beating teams and competing with the best teams, like there's so many more options now, and everybody's sort of fighting for that place that he's already talking about, and they're still trying to sign more players.
The thing you're talking about with John McGinn, I think his first game is at home to Brighton.
Yeah,
and he win up 2-0. I think
2-0,
I think Brighton are probably the better side overall possession wise, but I think Watkins scores and
Young goes in that run from the box and he sets up Watkins, and then it's a
second from the centre half. Does Mings get the second?
Yeah, he does. It's a half volley of his right foot actually.
Yeah, it kind of gets played out. It kind of gets saved or knocked out to him
on the right hand side.
He just buries it. Yeah, but the thing, I watched that game. It was a Saturday 3:00, and or it might have been a bit earlier, but I definitely watched it. And he is shouting at McGinn because you can see him on camera shouting at McGinn.
Yeah.
And I think what he was saying, what he was trying to get at McGinn for was, McGinn kept going to get involved. Off fullbacks for the ball, and what Gerrard was trying to say to him was, stop doing it. Because what he wanted to do was, he didn't want McGinn to be the first pass from a fullback. He wanted to be the second pass. And the reason being, if, I don't know who was playing, Douglas Luiz or someone was playing in there with him, right? What he was saying was, if he goes and gets the ball and turns out and gives it to you, you're in more space, in a more central part of the pitch to be able to hit balls, which he was hitting over the back of fullbacks. And that's what Gerrard was crying at. Gerrard was saying, why do you keep coming in short to these fullbacks? Because all you're doing is boxing yourself in, and we're having to play 4 and 5 and 6 more passes to get you where we want to get you. He has got attention to detail, because anyone I've read about, or anything I've read about Gerrard, is he's obsessed with the game. Like, he's obsessed with the game. Like Jamie Carragher used to be obsessed with the game, but it was a real case of knowing loads about the game, knowing loads about all different stuff, where Gerrard is really tactically really switched on and wants to learn and goes through every minute detail. When you link that with the standards he sets, the will to win, and what he expects, it's a great recipe, because the amount of former England players I've listened to on podcasts, and they go, who was the best he played with? And they go, oh, Gerrard was ridiculous. Gerrard used to, and Crouch talked about it all the time, and I actually heard Jay Bottroy talk about it, and very similar stories where they'd say he gets a ball and he wraps a ball into you from 20 yards, like a ridiculous thundering speed, and he expects you to just kill that dead and play. And if you don't, he's looking at you going, don't look at me about the pass. You're the one receiving it. The pass is at you. I don't care how quick it is. If you want me to feather it into you, we're going to lose possession. And that's what he was like. And Peter Crouch said the amount of players he's seen wilt.
I remember that
coming into Liverpool, and he's whacking balls into you, and if you can't control him, he's nearly looking at you with disdain. You know, the sort of way. So it's, you know what, I think he'll do very well. I think it'll be interesting in 2 years' time if Klopp does leave Liverpool and where Gerrard is, if he's still at Villa and he's still doing well, because I do believe if Liverpool go for Gerrard, no matter what club he's at, I think they'll get him. You know, it's just a case of, we just know he wants to manage Liverpool. You know, he's open. He said it. but I enjoy talking Villa there and Gerrard. Any other people in the chat? Throw me some mad refereeing decisions that we can talk about. Throw me some returns to clubs that you've seen players and managers do that worked out really well. And if you want to ask us about crisps, you can absolutely do that as well, because we do what we want on this show. Let's be honest about it. But bad. Did you think was a penalty on Jota the other day? I might as well ask you.
Did you? Like, I don't think so. Like, no. Like, actually, the thing that annoyed me most about that whole incident was the commentary that just didn't seem to pick up on Trent Alexander-Arnold's pass.
Yeah.
Like if you can't get excited about a right back intercepting the ball and from that position setting up a goal chance with one touch, if you can't get excited about that, like, piss off.
He's a ridiculous footballer, isn't he?
Yeah, it's stupid stuff. And yeah, like, even when he slowed it down, I don't know why the VAR is asking you to go look at it to start off with. And I don't know why referees have gotten into this habit of just accepting when the VAR tells him to go over. We all know now he's going to give it. But why does he not just go over and look? He now has the exact same information as what the VAR has. Like, they both watch the replay. He can look at it and be like, Jesus, mate, are you serious? Like, no, I'm not giving that.
He doesn't give it. And VAR say to him, listen, you need to go and look at that. He's made contact with the player, have a look. And he goes over and then he gives it. Johnny B. Red says, no way, a penalty. Jota jumped into him, says Kieran B.
The ghost goal.
The ghost goal is the Luis Garcia one. Do you remember they were doing reconstructions of that and everything with AI intelligence and fucking all sorts of going on? But I think I think Jota moves towards the goalkeeper, and I think the keeper hits him. Where the ball is and if it's out or not is immaterial. That doesn't matter. It's all about the collision and is it intentional or not. And the referee, for some reason, does think it's a penalty. Do you know what one always stands out to me though? Do you remember Raheem Sterling for City a couple of years back against Shakhtar Donetsk? He goes in the box and he goes to kick the ball, completely misses it, kicks the ground, goes on the ground, hits the deck, and he's given a penalty.
You have to narrow it down when it comes to Sterling.
Yeah, I know, yeah, but this one was outrageous. This one was like, he goes in the box, he's running. Your man's chasing, but he's not close to him. He goes to hit the ball.
Oh, do you remember this?
Kicks the ground about a foot behind the ball.
Screams on his way down.
Hits the ground, and he gives a penalty. And not only that, Sterling doesn't even have the class to stand up and go, listen, I kicked the ground. He doesn't. He takes the fucking penalty. He's like, it's a penalty. You know what I mean? And people were like, oh my God, that is absolutely ridiculous. So I was trying to get people in the chat to tell us mad stuff. Aluminium says, butter, crisps, bread, and football in that order. Gotta love the Irish perspective and priorities for a talk show. Yeah, but you see, that's the thing. When it comes to this show, we'll talk football. We've talked Villa. We've talked Ireland, France. And then we can talk about crisps. I don't see the problem. Like, no, and nobody that's come on this show has seen a problem with it. Nobody's come off this show and went, what the fuck are we talking about crisps for? They seem okay with it. So, I don't know. If we get loads of complaints, we might stop. But I don't think we will. I really don't think we will. Yeah, that Man City one was bad. That was a bad one. I'm trying to think of any more. Can you think of any more good ones?
Well, what about the Cavani offside at the weekend? Like that, like when you see fans of either side pulling out their compasses and their protractors and they're drawing lines on the pitch, you know, like.
Oh no, that's the best one. Did you ever see when people freeze frame on the TV and they put a ruler up to the TV? Yeah, I love that stuff. That I really do.
When I looked at it initially, I was like, it looks offside. And then, like, people were, like, taking that little line from the box and pulling it down, but not realizing that the line on the pitch, you know, the natural colour of the pitch, when it like, that's now changed from the box. And, like, look, I'm getting into it now as well. I'm drawing lines on the screen. Like, I need to stop.
Yeah. Come here. Can I ask you, the other one a couple of weeks ago, in the Cup, was it the Cup? It was, Villa and United. Did they disallow a Villa goal?
Fucking right they did. Hang on, I remember being completely incensed by this. There's been that many Villa games recently. Oh, I don't think. Am I right in saying most Villa fans weren't incensed that the goal didn't stand? It was just that how far back and how much of the shit you were looking at. Oh, no nonsense. The goal should have stood. Like the absolute joke of carry on. Like on both counts that they spent 3.5 minutes. I think it was the longest ever check. They checked if Ollie Watkins was offside, and then the guy had to say to him, Ollie Watkins didn't touch it, mate. And it's like, well, fucking check somebody else. Is Danny Ings offside? And then they check Danny Ings.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, he's not offside. And it's like, is there a handball? Has anybody handballed? They check handball and nobody handballed it. And then they went out to Edinson Cavani charging in the same way Jota charged into the keeper. Edinson Cavani charged into Jacob Ramsey, who's standing there. I saw Chris Brack in the comments there asking, can you take Jacob Ramsey to Liverpool? Fuck off. Like, no way, that's not happening. But then they give a penalty, or no, they disallowed a goal because Cavani dives at the edge of the box, and neither of them were involved in the goal.
So you're still upset over it? Is that what we're trying to say? Yeah, you're still upset. Ali A says, Gav, did you see Harvey Elliott went to Blackburn today to say thanks for everything from last season when he was on loan at them? Yeah, I did see that. Harvey Elliott is due back for Liverpool in the next couple of weeks. What do you make of Harvey Elliott?
He's a baller, isn't he? And like, do you know what? For a young lad and stuff like that. And I know, was he getting a bit of heat for like tweeting a lot after he got injured? I think was he being a bit too classy? I remember at the time people were like, all right, like, you know, just be quiet now. I remember it sort of turned a little bit, very briefly.
I think he gets injured and he does an Instagram post when he's in the hospital to say he's okay and good stuff. And then I see him probably one or two, and then I really didn't hear of him until he was reported back that he was back in some sort of training. Yeah. Not first team training, but just back in rehab, I suppose. I've probably only seen about 4 or 5 things from him in 4 months.
Oh, and this is what I'm going to say. Like, so a young lad, he was flying. He's obviously a class footballer. And then I thought, oh, he's just going to be injured and just, you know, on social media all day, like whatever, you can do what you want. But then he just, like, I did see a couple of clips from the Liverpool account where he's just doing all this work on these like bouncing materials, you know, to try and strengthen his leg up. And he must have just been living in the gym in the rehab center. And like, I can't believe he got him back so quickly, like to a point where he's training with the first team again.
Oh, he's due back now for the cup game on the 6th.
So obviously he's a class footballer, but more importantly, he obviously has some bit of stuff behind him as well and good backbone.
I can't wait to see him back because I thought he was flying when he gets injured that time. I literally think it would have been very hard to leave him out at Liverpool side, and I include when everyone was fit. That's how good he was playing.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know if he had an assist. I don't know if he got a goal, but the way he was playing and the space and the space he was opening for people and the understanding he was getting with, in particular, Mo Salah and Trent was outrageous, and Liverpool just had an extra dimension to him. And
what a bonus! Like, just dropped into that midfield 3, and suddenly he's lighting it up.
Yeah, because when it came to pre-season, you seen him in the midfield 3 quite a bit, and you went, yeah, you actually seen it, and you thought to yourself, he's going out on loan because he's not getting into that front.
Yeah.
They're putting him into midfield to give him games, and you won't see him. And then all of a sudden, it was like, oh, he's starting. Oh, nice one. And you know, he was great. And like he didn't look out of it physically, you know, up and down the pitch, you know, taking tackles. Like he played Burnley early in the season, and when I say they kicked him from pillar to post, some of the tackles were outrageous on him, and he just got up and gave it as good as he got. And to see him get injured was really bad, but to see him back now, he's due back. I hope to see him play against Cardiff, and you know, he's a young lad. He seems to be classy enough, and he's a big talent. You know, you were talking about Jacob Ramsey there, like, and I know a lot of people rate him highly, but Harvey Elliott to me looks just a proper player. Pat Moynihan says, Gav, do you remember Tato pub crisps? Bring them back. Yes, I absolutely do. You can get a version called Manhattan pub crisps now, which are outrageous as well.
You remember Ghosties? Like the right Banshee.
Yeah, hold on. Now we're in a rabbit hole. Hold on. Yeah, Ghosties. Yeah, smoky bacon flavour.
To them? They keep bringing back Banshee Bones, but they don't bring back Ghosties. Ghosties were infinitely better.
Well, Banshee Bones were salt and vinegar flavour. Ghosties were smoky bacon flavour.
Yeah.
But they weren't crisps. They were like, what do you call them? Maize? Is that what they're called?
When does a crisp become a maize?
Yeah. Well, I suppose when it's not flat, it's not a crisp. But yeah, Ghosties were outrageous. Banshee Bones were brilliant. Hot Lips were amazing.
Yeah, Hot Lips are good.
Meanies are still going. Meanies are quality.
I'm thinking of Skips. For some reason when you said Hot Lips, I started thinking of Skips, and then
Hot Lips were like
oh yeah, I know the ones.
It's just a spicy flavour. They were really good. But I still maintain that the best ever to put on a crisp, and I'm going back to this, I'm sorry, Conan, but the best thing to put on bread with butter was a packet of crisps called Crunchos, which were hot dog flavour. And they looked like branches off trees. That's the only way I can explain it. And
You just want a sausage in the middle. You just want a hot dog. Like, you should just have the hot dog and then have crisps.
No, these were lovely. Just a roll, loads of butter, lash the whole packet on, and it was all good. But Saint Boy in the 65 says he's hungry now. Yeah, this is what happens. Gav, can you ask Conan about Carney Chukwuemeka? Why won't he sign a new contract? And is he any good?
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's just turned 18. He's class. And this sort of goes back to the confidence thing I was telling you about. And I used the Ollie Watkins example because Villa fans love him. He's come through the academy. He's tall. He's strong. He won the FA Youth Cup. And he's a great player. Like, he was in the team. He came into the team at the end of last year. Got a few chances this year. He's been thrown into games now, like, when it matters. Like, he came on against United, helped change the game. I know Coutinho was the big influence, but Chukwuemeka came on as well, and he had a big role he played in the first goal. No, he's very good, and like the thing is, I'm talking about the confidence. Gerrard is now giving him a bit of tough love. Like, he's actually, I see a few comments in the media from Gerrard sort of putting the pressure on him a bit now to sign that contract. I think the reason he's not signing the contract is because he's so highly thought of. He's sought after by a lot of people.
Do you expect him to sign a contract?
I don't think so now at this stage. Like, I think it's a strange one because, like, his head's probably turned by bigger clubs and clubs that are doing better than Villa at the minute, but you have a better chance of breaking through at Villa, like, especially in that midfield area. Like, there's a place there for him. They go and take it.
I know the name. I know the name has come up because I know Liverpool have been linked with him. I haven't seen much of him. I haven't seen.
Yeah,
it'd
be an interesting one. Like, with Liverpool's system, like, he'd obviously have to play in the middle three, which he hasn't done for Villa. He's always played sort of in the number 10 role. He's always been an attacking midfield role, so I don't know where he would fit in with Liverpool. Now, he's athletic, so maybe Klopp could use him as, like, he's always looking for that playmaker from that role as well, although Harvey Elliott can do that too. Yeah, look, he's going to be classy. He is brilliant already, but I think Gerrard's starting to... It's just exactly what he's brought to the club now. It's just that sort of like, well, if you don't want me, fine. Like, I'm good enough to go out my own and stand at my own. Like, so Villa fans aren't as beholden to anybody as much anymore. Although I do hope he signs the bloody contract.
Yeah, and I suppose, like you said, a bit of tough love from Gerrard. Gerrard's probably turning around, sign it, grand. But if you don't, fuck you.
Exactly.
Go and get someone else to play. Whereas managers beforehand would have been kind of laying down in front of him, hoping that he signs it and probably promising them things that, probably weren't true. Throwing extra stuff. And Dicko says, here's one for you. Breaking news, Hodgson set for Watford.
Oh, fucking hell. It's like can nobody let that poor man just retire in peace?
Well, he keeps coming back. He's obviously, someone rang him.
I suppose it would only be a 6-week job as well, like, once he gets sacked.
Yeah, well, Watford it is. A lot of people have longer holidays than fucking the manager that has the job at Watford.
When's Frank Lampard going to realise that he's not going to get a job as big as Chelsea again? Like, he needs to take the Watford job. Like, isn't
he linked with Everton?
Although Everton, like,
isn't the agent Kia, whatever his name is, isn't he involved with Everton some way and he's pushing a manager on Everton at the moment? And
I'm convinced that Everton are just linking him as a way of, like, drumming up interest in the job. Like, there's no way they would give it to Lampard and not give it to Rooney, for example. Like, why would you not just give it to Rooney if you're going to give it to Lampard?
How big a trouble do you think Everton are in?
I didn't realise they're only 4 points off. Like, and now Newcastle and Norwich.
Have you seen the next 6 games?
No, what are they?
Right, so they have a cup game at home to Brentford in the FA Cup. I was showing one of the lads here, or a couple of lads here earlier. I'll get it for you now. So they play Brentford in the cup, right? Well, listen to this. Right, so the next 5 league games after the cup game: Newcastle away, Leeds at home, Southampton away, Man City at home, Tottenham away.
Jesus Christ!
There's so many problems in that for me. There's just so many problems in that for me.
With Duncan Ferguson telling them to just try harder the whole time as well.
Yeah. And Duncan Ferguson sitting there trying to tell people that they look for the best managers in the world, and I'm sure they'll go and find that. They got a top class manager in Ancelotti who legged it first chance he got, and they brought in Benitez who they should have stuck by regardless, and they got rid of him. It was, where did he go? But yeah, Hodgson to Watford. That could be some crack.
Hey, there's a lot. I'm not saying it's the same, and I think Villa were a bit more in free fall at the time, but there's a lot of similarities between Everton at the minute and Villa in 2016 when they got relegated. Like, Villa had a better side than what should have got relegated, but it was a pile of inflated wages and inflated egos and didn't really work. Nobody gave a shit. They spent stupid money. Everton spent more stupid money, in fairness, but then Villa, they went from Tim Sherwood and then got rid of him, brought in a caretaker, and then brought in Remy Gard, who didn't last. Like, got brought in a caretaker to oversee the relegation, and now I'm seeing Everton talking about Vitor Pereira.
Yeah, but apparently Vitor Pereira is linked to, I never know how to say the fella's second name, Kia Joe. What's the agent? You know the
agent you're talking about, yeah.
Kia Jobakin or whatever his name. I can never say his second name. So if someone wants to write that out, probably in the chat for me as how to say it. But apparently he's his agent, and or he's linked with him in some way, and that's why that name is being thrown in there. But who takes the job? Because no matter who goes in there, they're backed, right? And the funny thing is, Benitez might have done them a favour by getting rid of Marcel Brands, because Brands was signing all these players and then the manager was taking them. But who goes in there? Because, trust me, Gerrard, says Emma Kavanagh. I remember that, Gerrard, because I just always look at his second name and go, let's not even talk about him, I can't be arsed with his name. But Gerrard, right, is meant to be involved there, and he's meant to be getting this fella, and he's pushing them on Everton. But anyone in their right mind goes in there and goes, right, they might back me with money, although their wages to income or to turnover something like 89 or 90% at the moment, which is hamstringing them big. That's why they sold Digne, to get those two fullbacks in, to level the books, really, right? And Mashiri is saying, we're committing the 100 million loan you gave to Everton, and we're actually turning that into, money now. We're putting it into the club. But all that does is reduce your percentage, and it's not going to reduce it enough to make you comfortable. You know, the sort of way that 100 million loan goes this year, and then next year you're still back to earning less money, and you can't spend. And if I'm a manager going in there, I'm thinking to myself, I might have the first 5 really good, like Benitez did, and I might go on a 6 or 7 game stretch where we know the squad isn't good enough, and we lose 4 out of 6, and they just go fucking mental. Like, it's a mad one. It's an absolute mad one. And it's not only the fact that the fans are just completely mental, right? It's the fact that I don't know who's running that club. Like, Bill Kenwright is wandering around Gladys Street after most games, and he doesn't know what to be saying to people. He looks like he's just wandering around with his pie in the sky stuff. Everyone's shouting at him, and he's looking at them going, doesn't even realise the game's gone on. You know, the sort of way. It's mad. Yeah. It's a mental situation. I think they're in huge trouble. I really do. Hannah alone agrees. She says they're actually in serious trouble. I didn't realise how bad it was.
They are, and a big part of it is because I think Newcastle will get their act together to some degree, and Norwich will make a fist of it, and we didn't think that would happen as well. Like, once Everton are dragged into it, which they are now, then it's big trouble. Like, they have to start looking over their shoulders, and like, they're not good. They're not a good team. Nobody has a clue what they're doing. There's no spirit there. Like I'm saying, like we're talking about the wages and like you said about the 100 million that in Everton land that would get you 3 Iwobis. Like, that's how far that 100 million goes. Like, you know.
Well, Olakunle 007 says if you provide 100 million equity, then they'll be able to spend as that's 100 million of the debt wiped. Yeah, that's fine, right? But what happens is you wipe that, okay, which brings you under. It's about turnover. Right? So if you bring that in and that's part of your turnover, for this year that's absolutely fine. But next year you still have all these players on huge amounts of money, and your turnover, unless you're putting another 100 million in just to balance it, doesn't work. Fab Mashiri has spent 500 to 600 million quid at Everton. £500 or £600 million at Everton, right? And we're sitting here going, they're in deep shit. They are one defeat against Look, if Newcastle were to beat them and Watford and Norwich, say for argument's sake, were to get a result, they are right up against it. And the biggest problem, they'd actually be better off hoping that another wave of COVID comes and they close the stadiums to supporters, because that place will be feral every single week if that was to go on. It's all very well him saying, "Oh, we've 100 million and we've made it equity." That's great, but all it's doing is basically trying to sweeten the deal for a manager coming in. But that manager will quickly realise that in the summer or the next January they go, well, that 100 million is actually from last year, and now we're still only taking the next amount and we're still paying these players. So where do we go? It's absolutely insane.
But this is what I mean. Like, 100 million to another team, like, would be good to another team, apart from United and apart from Everton. Like, when you're spending almost 30 million on Alex Iwobi, like 100 million doesn't go
40
very
million
far.
on Alex Iwobi, wasn't it?
For, like, Jesus fucking Christ. And then the wages that you're talking about, like, it's such a mess of a cleanup job. You're right to say who would take it, because there's so much rotten fruit lying around the changing room, but you can't even get rid of it. You can't even sweep it out the changing room unless you're going to write it off. Was that 100 million?
But the thing is that they're coming out with statements, right? Fab Mashiri's coming out with statements, right? And the popular opinion there was to put Duncan Ferguson in, right? Because that's just a popular thing. All we know is the club. Who gives a fuck? I know a lot about Liverpool, but they're not giving me the fucking job tomorrow if Jurgen Klopp decides to take a year off and you haven't found a replacement, right? And they're making all these statements, and he just seems to be going, Mashiri just seems to be going on and on and on from the next thing to the next, and the fans go mental, and he reacts, and then he says, "Oh, look, I'm putting this money in," and they'd be better off bringing in whatever manager they want, and just literally making a statement going, "Listen, this fucking squad isn't good enough. This is going to take 3 years before we even have a chance of looking at top half of the Premier League. We're putting it out there right now. Right, this is what we plan to do. The squad isn't fucking good enough, and just deal with it. Right, so if we lose 4 in a row, deal with it. If we win 6 in a row, don't get too high and start ringing your fucking Liverpool supporting friends telling them you're back. Stop doing stuff like that. But they won't do it. They won't do it, and it's because they still live in this mad world, right, where they're a huge club and they deserve the standards should be the best. Right? Yes, standards probably should be the best, but they're nowhere near. They're nowhere near where they should be. It's a bit like when Liverpool, probably in the years 98, 99, people thought they could win this, they could win that. They couldn't win anything. It took Houllier to come in and go, "Listen, these are all pricks. This is what you need to do." And he done it. And people didn't like it. People didn't like the style, but he got results. And every season you'd be going in, and I was the same. You go in every season and go, "This would be our year," but you could see once one fault went, it was gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you look at, and the funny thing is, Everton, a lot of what Everton do is dictated by what Liverpool do. If Liverpool do something, Everton have to do something. It's like, "Oh, look at them over there," right? But the gas thing is, when Jurgen Klopp comes in, what does he say? He says, "Yeah, this club, forget about what's happened in the past. We need to stop thinking about how you were in the 70s and 80s, right? We are here at the moment. This is what we need to do. We need to start believing in ourselves and not just doubters to believers." What he actually, I think he means by that is, Liverpool always thought they were a big club, and they were a big club. But for me, Klopp came in and went, "Listen, you're not as good as him, and him. Simple as that. Now we need to get to that, but it's going to take time." And he just said it. And people just went, "Do you know what? Let's go with it." And you have to remember, in Klopp's 4th season, he bins the fucking Champions League qualification for the Europa League, which he ends up losing. And what do the fans say? Fair enough, it was worth the fucking risk. We go again, and it gets better and better and better. But it needs so much, confidence in what a man is doing and patience. And Everton refuse to have it. It's a bit like Manchester United when they say, "Oh, we're signing players, and if we look at us in 3 and 4 years' time," you don't give a fuck about 3 or 4 years' time. You despise the fact that you have to look 3 or 4 years down the line. You want it done yesterday, and that's where United tell lies to themselves as well. But I'm being honest with you, Conan. Mad stuff, and I don't know who takes it. And when they do take it, God love them, because I think it's a fucking horrendous job.
100%. I wouldn't go near it. Like, I wouldn't even wish it on Frank Lampard. That's that's how bad a job it is. But do you know what Klopp did as well? Klopp came in, and do you remember the whole mess around Liverpool just before that? Like the arguments about the transfer committee,
Mm.
and like people weren't sure of who was signing and what way it was happening. Klopp came in and just got along with them. He had that confidence, he had that ability to bring people together.
Mm.
Said, I have no problem with that. If that's how it works, great. But before, that was a thing that was sort of held against Liverpool. Like, how can this be that you have a transfer committee and you have a manager?
Yeah,
Klopp came in.
but what happened there was they put a name on it. Every club has a transfer committee. Every one of them.
Yeah,
If you think one fella is sitting at a club deciding what's going on, you're fucking mad, right?
yeah,
So they always have a couple. So it would be the manager, the assistant, it could be the head scout, it could be the director of football, whatever it is. They all sit and have meetings about players. But Liverpool put a name on it, right? And when Klopp comes in, he says, "Well, yeah, they have a transfer committee, but we won't be discussing that anymore."
yeah,
And basically
yeah,
said, he
exactly. Yeah,
basically said, we'll continue doing it because the funny thing is, Michael Edwards, who's leaving Liverpool, he was involved in all this, and he's still fucking there,
exactly.
and they want to build statues of him, right?
Yeah,
And the funny, but Klopp just went, why are we even talking about that? It's no one's fucking business. We make
yeah,
signings, and yeah, there might be 4 or 5 people that thing, but we won't be coming out going, here's our new signing, and here's the 5 lads that sat in the room last week and talked about
yeah,
him. Won't happen because, like you said, he had the confidence to go, well, yeah, we'll have a look at what way they're doing that. And if it's good, great, but we're not putting the name in it. If it's not good, I'll fucking tell
yeah.
you. You know?
But you look at the difference then, like right now, then with Everton, like I honestly, how does any like this is a Premier League football club, right? Imagine how high up a business this is in the world, and there's such little joined up thinking that when one manager wants to get rid of Lucadinha, that's just approved. It's just gone straight through, and nobody in this whole business had a thought like, actually, hang on, we're going to sack him in 2 days' time. Maybe we should pump the brakes on that and get a second opinion. Just like poof out the door. Maybe you're right. Maybe they needed a bit of extra cash, but like crazy that like they just let a big asset like that. They should have been getting more money from him. He's a good player anyway, and they just let him go because one manager they were going to get rid of within a week wanted rid of him, and that was it. Gone.
But like you said, there's no joined up thinking because if you remember rightly, they're on a bad run, right? And there's calls for Benitez head. I think it might be after the Liverpool game where Liverpool just, when I say swatted them aside at Goodison, right? Like swatted them aside, it could have been any score, right? And there was calls on him, and they were like, "No, we absolutely back Rafa Benitez." And before you know, Marcel Brands is out the door, right? He's gone, right? There's talk that he's going to get rid of Duncan Ferguson, right? He sells Luca Dean, which is grand, right? That's them backing him. They go and lose a couple more games, right? And there's a fella in the stand at Carrow Road saying, Benitez, get out of our club or whatever, time to go, whatever the fuck they put on with masking tape or whatever it was, right? And all of a sudden he's sacked. So you're sitting there now, after, like you said, after selling your left back, who's probably in the top 3 players you have, with
Yeah.
Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, maybe Decore is good as well, right? So you've got rid of your director of football. You've stored up relations probably with Duncan Ferguson. You've got rid of your left back. You've been telling people 10 days ago that you're absolutely backing Rafa Benitez and what he's trying to do, and then you sack him. And this is all because the fans want him gone. So
Yeah.
there's no strength in any of the thinking.
Like, and
It's
again, just to
completely reactionary.
take the joined up thinking angle even further. You have Duncan Ferguson then coming out, and I shouldn't be putting any credence into what Duncan Ferguson says, but he's coming out this week then saying they know now what it means to play for Everton. And it's like, you couldn't have fucking told them that when you were assistant manager the whole time with Benitez or when
Yeah.
you were with Carlo Ancelotti. Like,
Yeah,
you should
Duncan
have been.
Ferguson is
That was your
definitely
job.
sitting there saying to the squad, I know a secret, but I'm not telling you.
Yeah.
And then when Benitez goes says, look, the secret is this is what it means to play for Everton. Like, these are the same people he's talking about that when they sign for Everton are going, what a great club and it means so much to me to play for Everton. But when we have a bad results, it's now they know what it feels like to play for Everton. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, genuinely, what the fuck are you talking about? And you see, the funny thing is, right, I don't blame Duncan Ferguson for saying this stuff because Duncan Ferguson knows if he says this, the vast majority of Everton fans will look and go, see, Duncan Ferguson's
Yeah.
only there 48 hours and the players are under no fucking illusions as to what it's like to play for Everton Football
100%.
Club.
Yeah.
But he's sitting with Benitez for the last 6 months and he's not saying nothing to them. You know, he's literally sitting there smirking, going, "Oh, I should really tell these it means a lot to play for Everton because they're obviously all fucking brain dead. So I just won't say anything to them, and I'll be able to tell them when Benitez goes." You know, mad stuff like it's fucking mental.
I'd argue that actually they know full well what it's like to play for Everton. Like, Everton right now is what it's like to play for Everton. Like, they know better than anybody. Just in free fall mess, fans going crazy, as you say, Bill Kenwright walking around not knowing what he's doing. That's what it's like to play for Everton. Those players know well.
Bill Kenwright came out of the ground the other day, and I seen a video, right? And there's a group of people, police are between them, and they're talking. And in fairness, the people are shouting at him. A few of them are shouting, but the guys at the front are trying to talk to him. And Bill Kenwright is literally standing there, right? And he's looking beyond these people that are talking with this kind of half, not grin on his face because he's not laughing at them, but real kind of like, I don't even know the word. He's trying to be very cordial to them with his facial expression. But there's no reaction off him. He's just standing there because what the fuck is Bill Kenwright going to say? Bill Kenwright is now there, right? And he's not having no fucking say over what's going on. He's walking around going, the fans are giving out, right, sack him, right, okay, bring Duncan in. Duncan comes in and says, "Oh, Everton, we need to do this," and the fans go, "Yay!" And Mashiri goes, "That's fucking brilliant. Look, we're back on track," right? And then an agent comes along and went, "Listen, I have a manager over here," and they go, "Oh yeah, we'll take him," and they go and do that, right? And I guarantee you, they'll all convince themselves that this fella's great, and then, right, then when it happens, right, and something goes wrong, and be like, "Well, get out of our club." So they're actually giving out. They wanted Benitez sacked, which they got. They wanted Ferguson in, which they got. And at the same time, they're shouting at these people to get out of their club. Who are they shouting at? If Arv Mashiri walked right in that football club, the football club is gone. You know, Gav, remember to mention the new lump of concrete Everton are building. Mate, it's one of the funniest social media posts I've seen in ages where they went, the new superstructure is underway. And it was literally a fucking 2 foot by 2 foot concrete beam that was in the ground and went about 8 foot in the air, and that's all you could see. You know, where Liverpool go, and Liverpool say, the Anfield Road end is coming on, when you look and there's steel everywhere and there's fucking stairs and you go, jeez, they're flying with that. This genuinely, go back and look at everything on social media. It's literally a lump of concrete. It's like 2 foot by 2 foot, I'd say, and it goes about 12 foot in the air, and behind it you can see, like concrete slabbed walls. You know, like the walls you see where the concrete slabs sit on top of each other like this and meet. And you can see them in there, and that's it. And a bit of steel coming out of the slab that you can see in front. It's fucking mad stuff. Mad stuff. And these are and people are going, this is it, the Everton. Well, we'd be the real team in the city because we'd be down on the docks and all. And going, would you ever fucking stop? There's more chance of you floating onto the Irish Sea in that fucking thing. You know what I mean? And and they're not even building it. The council are fucking building it. You know the sort of way. It's mad. But Kenwright doesn't know what's going on. They keep shouting Kenwright and Co. It's time to go. Who's and Co? Because is it the owner? Because if the owner goes, what the fuck are you doing? Are you running it?
Yeah.
It's absolutely mental. Conan, it really is. Like, it's just mad. I don't know how we've got onto this at this hour of the night, but it's just fucking insane.
I was just thinking, we didn't get on to returns really, but like, if I was Rooney, like, I would never want to go to that job right now. Like, that wouldn't tarnish his legacy. Like, he's probably already did that by going to United so early, but like, it's just wait. Like you'll have a better chance at an Everton job in a few years' time. Like, don't go there now. Like, don't go from Derby and the financial ruin that they're in to Everton and the fucking ruin that they're in. Just like, it's just not appealing, and he can hold out and he'll get offered a job in a few years' time.
But the thing, like, Owen Burke says, Big Dunk rang every pub around Goodison before the Villa game and told them that the first round was on him. That's not a true story.
That's a true story, yeah, because one of the pubs put out a thank you to him, and then reports that all the other pubs around Goodison did it as well. Like,
so what? You just said anyone that comes in the pub, buy them a drink?
Their first drink was on Dunk. Like, maybe he knew it was a 12:30 kickoff, so he might have been lucky enough. But
it cost him 40 quid. Like,
yeah, he wasn't going to do it for a 5:30 kickoff.
Johnny Barrett said, "Be bloody freezing on match days at Everton new ground." Look, it looks a brilliant stadium. Don't get me wrong, but what state are you going into it? Because I know the council have a big thing to do with this. Now, in fairness, Shawnee was telling me there's something up at not up at the stadium, but up at the way it's funded and stuff like that. So I'll have to go and ask him exactly what's going on before I comment on that. Because all I know is that I've just seen one big concrete pillar and they're calling it superstructure. It's literally like fucking, I could genuinely get me 2-year-old to build you a Lego thing as high as this and we could call it a superstructure. That's how mad it was. But Rooney's doing a brilliant job at Derby. Like, I think they lost in the Derby game against Nottingham Forest the weekend, but I was looking last week, without that 21 point deduction, they'd be 5 points out of the playoffs. Yeah. And he's lost certain players. Now, I think the takeover there looks like it might be going through. But why would he go there? Like, not even if you said it was a free hit. And look, if it doesn't work out, you probably get a job in the Championship and back to where you were and you could build up again. But just a ball aching for all. Like, Rooney's the sort of fella that'd be standing there and some knobhead behind him will be shouting at him and shouting at Bill Kenwright, and Rooney just turn around and give him a slap.
You're so right.
And then when he gives him a slap, it'd be like, what the fuck did we do now? Because, and everyone will get confused then as to what to do. Do you know what I mean? I just don't know. Someone will take it. I think they will end up with a coach, a little bit of an unknown that may be out of a job in Europe somewhere and comes in. But genuinely, I swear to God, if they bring someone in like that and they lose if they lose one game, if they lost 1-0 away to Man City or 1-0 at home to Man City, whatever way it is, they'd be literally, these fuckers would be telling you, get him out, he doesn't understand the club. Do you know what I mean? The biggest problem is people in there. Biggest problem is people that understand that club. That's the problem. They understand that and they keep going and doing the same fucking thing. You need someone to come in and go, I know nothing about this club. All I know is we're 16th and we're 15th in the Premier League. We've all these fucking players paying them way too much money and it just doesn't work. Now, we're doing it a different way. Fuck off. You know, the sort of way. But they won't do it because they're all mental and the owner just keeps reacting to everything that's being said.
It's the biggest bollocks in football. Like, he knows the club. Like, United are falling in that trap as well. United are the same as Everton when they had a higher place to fall from. Like, so they're in a bit better shape than Everton are at the minute. But like this, he knows the club. Like, what? Klopp didn't know Liverpool when he came in.
No.
Pep Guardiola didn't know Man City when he came in. Like, he knows the club. Is like, he knows how to manage is the only question you should be asking. Like, and the way you're talking there about Everton, isn't it so sad? Like, you're saying someone will take it. It's almost like you could be writing in a thing to Jim will fix it and reading out why Everton deserve a manager. Like, Everton are a great club with great fans and they've got a great location. And if you can help Everton, if you can come along and manage this club, then you'd be doing them a big favor. Like, someone should take that job. Isn't that the worst thing you could say about them?
I'll tell you what I'd do. If I was anybody about to take that job, right? I would say to Everton, I'm taking the job. I'm willing to sign a contract on the job under one. There's one rule, and they go, what is it? One condition, and they go, what is it? I said, I'm going to write a statement, and I'm going to publicly put it out there as to what I want to do with Everton Football Club, right? And I'm going to tell any Everton fan that has an issue with that to turn up at Everton Football Club tomorrow at 10 a.m. Right? And what I'm going to tell them is, I know nothing about your football club apart from what I'm looking at, right? It's not good. The whole idea of this, do it this way and do it that way, clearly does not work. And it's going to take X amount of time and you're going to need to shut your mouth for fucking 2 or 3 years and grin and bear it, regardless of how bad it gets or good it gets. And I'm confident we come out on the other side of it. And if you've an issue, I'll see you at Goodison Park tomorrow at 10 a.m. And if one fella turns up, you go, right, Grant, they're going along with this. And if 10,000 turn up, you go, well, I'm not taking the job because they clearly don't want to go in any other direction than, let's be completely overreactive to everything. And if we lose a couple of games, we want everyone fucking out. And at the same time, we want to be as steady and as successful as the lads a couple of 100 yards across the road or the guys 15, 20 miles up the road the other direction, and leave them to it. Leave them to it because they're going to kill themselves internally because of what they think they are and the way they should go on. And it takes clubs time to just turn and go, listen, this isn't right. You have to fucking just make a clean sweep and go, forget all the Everton way or this way or that way. And it's not just Everton, it's other clubs. You clearly have to take You clearly have to just take a different step in a different direction, or else it's like that thing, isn't it? Keep doing the same thing all the time
Definition of insanity.
and look for different results. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's like I see bonkers LFC saying about Ollie at the wheel. Like, there's not really something not that we needed anymore.
I said that from the very start. They go for him.
But nobody would even talk about him. Nobody would even think about him. Like that really sums it all up. Not that we ever needed that qualification or validation about Solskjaer and his credentials for United. But I haven't even heard him for the Watford job. It's not going to be mentioned. Like, it's just it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah, but I wouldn't put it past him to go for it. For Everton to go for that, because I genuinely think they would turn and go, he's been at United. Look how big United are. He could bring some of that to Everton. And even if he had all the insight on Manchester United, and he probably has for the last 30 years, he'd turn up at Everton. He'd say, we need to do this, this, and this. And people go, it's not the fucking Everton way. What are you talking about? And then he go, yeah, but it's really good. Like, it's good. And they go, no, it's not our fucking way of doing it. Fuck off. And then they go, all right, we do it your way then. And they go, yeah, we will do it our way. And then 6 weeks later, they haven't won a game. And it's like, get him out. Doesn't know the fucking club. That's how it works. That's how it works. Over and over again.
If Phil Neville wasn't doing as disastrously as he's doing out in America, like, he'd definitely get it as well. He knows the club. Like, maybe Solskjaer would be a good fit because he's shown that he's able to take United down, and now he can do the same with Everton.
Yeah, it's just insane. But like, we've gone completely off topic. We haven't talked about many bad decisions. We haven't talked about many returns to clubs. We have talked about crisps. Conan has upset most of the chat by saying you shouldn't put crisps on bread, which is fucking outrageous. Like, I don't know what the fuck. I don't know how we ask him on here again, to be honest.
I respect bread and I respect crisps too much to put them together.
Okay. All right. But look, it's been a great chat. Have you enjoyed it?
Oh, it's been good crack. Yeah, it's been good crack. We
must do it again on another Monday night, and we try away.
Can we add Arsenal onto the list next time? Like, it's been great, like, sort of having a good dig at Everton and.
Who do you want to add to the list next?
Just Arsenal. Just like, I just like having a laugh at Arsenal every so often.
You should have said it to me earlier. I love talking about Arsenal.
Oh yeah, like that's it. That's what I. But like, we can do it anytime. Don't worry.
Well,
like,
come on. What's your biggest bugbear with Arsenal?
I think only an Arsenal player would send out an apology statement after getting sent off in the 90th minute of a League Cup match that they were already 2-0 down in.
Yeah, that they flew him back.
I just think
that they flew him back for. Like, he's literally got knocked out of the African nations the day before.
Came back from Africa. Like, I would just be like, fuck off. I came back. I've literally come from fucking Africa.
Yeah.
Like, where was Mikel Arteta's apology? Like, he should be apologizing for flying somebody back from Africa to play.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much to it's a brilliant case study, Arsenal, and loads of people, like Emick says, don't start Gav on Arsenal. I've said it loads of times. They always interest me. They always have, because growing up in the mid '80s, or supporting Liverpool since the mid '80s, Arsenal and United were the two clubs that, and Everton, I suppose, from very early on. But Arsenal and United were the two that you always kind of looked at and went, yeah, massive clubs, do things the right way. And for that reason, I suppose Arsenal are ones that I just kind of look at and go, what's going on there? But I tell you something, they're fucking insane. They're absolutely insane. There's no other word for them. The carry on out of them, for the fan base, media, and former players and journals linked to Arsenal, the carry on out of them over the last 2 weeks has been nothing short of comical. And I've said it loads of times on Tripper shows and I'll say it again tonight. Liverpool were so transparent on what the protocols they followed, and were absolutely bashed from pillar to post. And Arsenal literally didn't want to turn up for a game last Sunday, and it was all okay. And then 4 days later, brought their full team, and then brought on the one player that they were missing. They brought him on because he got him back from Africa. So it's absolutely insane. At Arsenal, and
that one player didn't miss any Premier League games because he got put out of the African Cup of Nations, came back and gets sent off, and now he does miss a Premier League game.
yeah, it's unbelievable. But do you know what? I'll get you on another Monday night. We might touch on Arsenal, and we'll touch more on Villa, because we've touched on Villa a bit. We haven't touched on Liverpool loads, but we've definitely touched on Villa. We've touched on Everton. We've touched on Loads of different bits, I think, tonight. In fairness to us, we've done well.
Give me warning next time if you're going to talk about Henry and the handball. Like, Jesus, I
Oh,
wasn't ready for
sorry. You know, I tried to fucking lighten the mood down by going on to crisps, and you lost the plot. You know what I mean?
You made it worse.
You know what I mean?
Here, I'll tell you what, though, just before we finish, I've come back from Spain, and do you ever have Lay's crisps in Spain?
Yeah.
Oh my Christ, they're amazing. Like, and I wouldn't dare put them with bread either. Like, they're too good. They have to be taken on their own. But
there's only certain crisps you can put with bread. But you can go for anything, but there's only a certain few that you can go with bread, like. But Lay's crisps, yeah, they're massive in Spain. They're the main lads in Spain. But I probably would have a go with crisps, yeah. Try them on bread. So you wouldn't.
Food for thought, anyway.
What was your favourite flavour when you were over there?
I went for the cheese and onion type flavour. I don't think it's called cheese and onion, but it's the blue packet.
Yeah.
Or the green packet, maybe.
Yeah, and you see, that's the thing, in my opinion, salt and vinegar should be in a blue packet.
It has to be a light blue, though, because I always thought blue was ready salted, although red could be ready salted as well.
I think red is ready salted.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Blue is salt and vinegar. What are the flavours? Cheese and onion?
Green, cheese and onion, and then you have to have brown.
Yeah.
You have to have a brown then for your roast beef type of crisp.
Or smoky bacon.
Oh, see, this is where... smoky bacon has to be sort of pink, doesn't it?
No, we'll go for a brown. I do remember Worcester sauce flavour crisps in a brown packet.
That's purple, wasn't it?
Yeah. I had a feeling they were brown. Lay's are just the Spanish walkers. Apparently. Says Hannah and Emma. So there you go.
See, you would never buy walkers, but like you would buy Lay's. Something exotic about it. Continental.
Yeah. Venlo have lost 2 on the bounce, Gav, says on book. Of course, yeah, we have teams that we've picked for this season on Man on Football Show. Venlo aren't doing great. Elgin aren't doing great. Not many of them are doing great, to be perfectly honest with you. Napoli hammered Salernitana the other night. So they're flying, but we will give you an update on all our teams next Monday. We won't be with you on this Thursday, but we'll definitely be with you the following Thursday, though. The rest of the week, we've a draft tomorrow about Liverpool in the League Cup. We have a midweek fix / transfer show on Wednesday. We're off on Thursday. The sports unplugged on Friday, and I'll be with you every day at 2:00 in the afternoon with the Cop update. Conan, the Villa podcast. It's probably my favourite podcast outside of listening to Liverpool stuff and true crime. I'm going to be honest with you. It's neck and neck with some mad album in America going bananas. In 2017 when I listened to these podcasts. But the Villa podcast, you are still cracking on. It's quality though, isn't it? Hey, you let me come on that podcast. I'll talk about Arsenal. I'll give out.
No, do you know what? We're talking about like trying to. We've had a bit of demand, so we're being asked to do extra shows. So we're trying to figure out how to do that or get time to do it as well. So at the minute, the format is just us cracking up after a Villa match, basically.
Could you not do something where your extra show is where you bring 2 fans from other clubs in to talk to you about stuff around the Premier League?
I think so, yeah, or like crisps or whatever else.
Well, listen, I'm not coming on if I'm gonna have 3 people telling me that I can't put crisps on bread. I'm not fucking coming.
I think I'll still be on my own now. I saw a comment there saying, "Imagine you had to pay your TV license for this."
For what? For this show?
Yeah,
we charge for nothing.
We were literally naming colours of packets of crisps.
yeah. And you know what? I really got into it because my brain was really walking loads going, oh, what colour was the fucking cheese and onion? Do you reckon Pringles have it right then?
Well, no. But Pringles have sour cream though. Did you know Pringles have sour cream and cheese and onion? Which is fucking, like, that blew my mind. I thought the sour cream was sort of cheese and onion taken care of.
No, they've sour cream and onion, and they've cheese and onion.
Yeah. But like, would you really know the difference until you have them both, which I did recently enough.
Avo says, great show again, boys and the girls in the chat. Pete, Gavin, Conan talked all the way through it. So what do you want us to? We'll just go live. We'll sit here in silence, and you just can have a fucking chat. Okay, fair enough. That's what floats your boat.
We're just sitting here naming colours that we can think of.
Yeah. Oh, Buck says, I think I'm going to start a crisp sandwich podcast. It'd be absolutely brilliant. Well, Pringles, I think, have it right when it comes to colours.
I think they do, because they have the paprika one as well. Like, you know a Pringle crisp by the colour.
They're very
but
sickening, the paprika. Too many of them now. You wouldn't be going mad on too many of them.
Well, you get them on a plane though. You get the small one, and it goes down well.
But who's buying a small one? Like, not in the shops.
The plane trolleys come round. What are you getting? It's a simple tea, paprika Pringles, Twix. That's what it has to be.
Depends what airline you're on.
15.50.
You know, well, when the trolley comes around, I've no interest in like, you know, a bottle of jupe. But if you have any beer or anything, like, you know, I'll take one of them. Sour cream and chives, says Avo.
I saw someone's Hannah Pringles are so overrated. Like that, I think that's worse than the crisp sandwich.
No, I do like Pringles. My son is 2 years old and he's realised what Pringles are, and he goes in the shop looking for them now. It's madness, and there's fucking murder in the shop, and he's just going mental until he gets a packet of Pringles. And recently Polos as well. He's just gone mad into Polos. Doesn't eat them. Just, you know the packet of Polos where there's that kind of foil. What do you call it? It is a foil. It's not a foil, is it? It's a silver wrapper.
Aluminium foil.
Yeah, and he literally just opens the top of it. He's like a drug addict. He literally opens the top and just opens all around and just sits in the back of the car just sniffing the top of a packet of Polo all the way home in the car. And then I catch him doing it and he just laughs at me. And I don't know whether he's laughing at me because he's sniffing the top of a pack of Polo, or he's only 2 and he shouldn't really be in the back of a car with a packet of Polo and, you know, very, very close to being able to put them in his mouth. So I don't know what way it's going. I'll keep an eye on it tomorrow.
Sounds like he's high, to be honest. That's why he's laughing.
Yeah, he's just sniffing it. He's like it looks like he could have a paint marker up against his nose, but it's not. It's just a packet of Polo, which is at the moment it's not too bad. But we'll have to wait and see how that develops. Pringles are not classed as crisps. No, I wouldn't class them as crisps either.
What? What would you class them as?
Just, I don't know. I wouldn't
just because it's in a tub, you're getting confused. Like it's
if they come in a bag, they're crisps. If they come in a tub, they're just, I don't know, forget togethers. I don't know. You know what I mean? Do you ever feel weird buying a packet of Pringles when it's not like people aren't coming over to the house?
No, I don't like buying Pringles anyway because I feel like the person in the shop is always judging me now every time I go over. I feel like she knows me as the Pringles man. You know, if I'm buying Pringles and a pile of chocolate or something, I just feel like I'm being judged every time, even though she probably couldn't give one fuck.
Okay, I'm gonna ask this question, right? Because we used to ask this loads on the Trippers. I don't know if you've answered it, but Emma says, "Bring back the how wide of a gap between 2 buildings could you jump?" question. So right, and this is the last time I'm doing it. I'll only do it for Conan. Right, so Conan, here's the question: you're in New York City. There's 2 buildings, both are 50 stories high. They stand side by side. It's a flat roof, okay? Flat roofed buildings. You have to run and jump from one building to the other, okay? How wide of a gap do you think you could commit to that you would get over that? We will give you a bit of a wind behind you. 5 miles an hour, I think we gave the people with a wind behind you. But what sort of distance do you think you could jump between the 2 buildings?
Jesus Christ! Is there am I getting docked down if I pick a small gap? Because I don't fancy jumping.
There's no leaderboard.
And I'm just doing it for the crack to say to you.
You're just back yourself. Like, we've had people saying like 1 meter, which is 3 feet, which is fucking pathetic. We've had, I think, Trev Downey asked what the long jump record was in the Olympics, and then said he could do that, which was mad. And Andy Young of this parish said he could jump a certain amount, but only if there was a fire exit on the other building, you know, with the ladder down the side of the building and stuff like that. So he made up all sorts of rules. So one person wanted a cape. One person, I think it might have been Chris Pajak from the Redmen TV. He wanted a slightly downhill run on the first building to jump across. So we gave him a gradient of X amount of degrees. But if you want that, you can have it.
No, I just want a good pair of shoes, and I want to be able to take off my trousers, not to just look like a madman jumping across buildings, but I want to be as streamlined as possible.
Okay, if you make this, you're being arrested for indecent exposure. If you don't, it's an embarrassing one for your family when you're
all the more reason to make it. Or I have to make it now, like all the way.
Okay.
If I don't die, I'm getting arrested.
Okay.
I have to I used to do with a lot of sheds out there back in Derry, so I used to jump across sheds, but when it got to any gap big, and this is just a shed, which is one story,
Yeah.
It was scary.
Not even one story.
I tell you, I've seen stuff. I've seen
Okay.
stuff on those sheds.
You've seen stuff in Derry. One story up on the back of a shed.
Do you know where you would jump over sometimes where a shed was higher? Like sometimes that was good because you were jumping over them to grab onto the shed.
Yeah. No, this is exactly the same height. You can run the full length of the first building to jump onto the second one. So you have a good run of it. 5 to 10 miles an hour of wind behind you to give you that bit of push. Emma Kavanagh's not happy about the trousers. He says, Jesus, Conan, it's not that type of show. Pajak's never clearing any gap over 4 foot. So come on, give me it in feet and inches. I don't want meters. I don't want to convert them. So feet and inches, good run of it. Bit of wind behind you. You're stark bollock naked because that's how you roll. So what are you going for?
But shoes on.
Yeah, good pair of shoes. What would you like? Would you like a pair of Asics runners, something like that?
A good running shoe, yeah. Just something I feel like I'm getting.
Skechers, they're bouncy.
Something they bounce me off. Like look, I think if we were on the ground, I would say right, I'll give 6 foot a stab. But I think in the interest of a building in New York, trouserless, I'm going to go 5 foot.
5 foot. Okay, and the biggest reason you've changed that is because it's in New York, and you're trouserless. It's nothing to do with the distance. It's just what you have on or don't. And remember, you took the stuff off. Nobody made you. So if you kept your trousers on at that height, you probably would make 6 foot. Okay, that's good. That's good.
What did you say?
Oh, I reckon I could do 7 foot. Plus.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
You would do it. You would risk 7 foot.
Yeah.
Like that's taller than Peter Crouch across. You want to jump the length.
Yeah.
But like, why would you do it? Like, why would you even just take a foot off to make sure you get over?
Yeah, but what's the point? That's just fucking easy. You have to. We're going to a limit here. We're not doing it for the crack.
But like you could drop to your death with no trousers on. Like that's
no. You're dropping to your death with no trousers on. I'm fully clothed.
We're both taking our trousers off.
I'm wearing my best jeans and everything in case I die. It's like that thing where women say, "Geez, I better make sure I have matching underwear on in case I'm in a car crash." And some women don't drive in their pajamas in case they're in a car crash because that's how they roll. But no trousers but knee pads, reckons Red Steve. Listen, if you fall, your knee pads aren't doing a fucking thing for you. You know what I mean? But yeah, look, I don't know where that's gone. Most people listen to this now on the podcast.
It's gone to you telling me you would jump over a building, not over a building, from one building to another in your jeans, 7 feet.
Yeah. Oh, well, I want to be well dressed because when I do it, there's going to definitely be a round of applause and people are definitely going to bring you for a drink. And I'm presuming there's some sort of etiquette as to where we're going. So yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we've done well. We've done an hour and a half. I've completed another randomness, but I absolutely loved it. Loads of football in there, loads of random stuff in there, and that's how we roll. If you like it, subscribe to this channel and subscribe to the Man on Football Show channel as well. We're doing it this week on the Daytrippers, but we'll be back on the Man on Football Show next week. Conan, anything else before we go?
Anything else? No, I'm just trying to think of other colours of packets of crisps before we can wrap up here. No, I think I'm running all out. I don't like hula hoops. That's fair
ridiculous.
Enough.
That's just ridiculous.
No, like I don't want to open up a whole new conversation.
Have you tried the new ones? They're like they're not hard. They're like they're called hula hoop puffs. They're nice. Same flavours, but they're just.
I used to enjoy everybody putting the hula hoop between my fingers and eating them off.
Oh my god! Right, okay.
But they're just it's not the right textures. It's sore in your gums. No, I don't know who misses their teeth when they're trying to chew. Yeah. But if you do, you're hitting a gum.
Oh yeah, and you're hitting your palate and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's a bit much. Let me see. Wear a flying squirrel jumpsuit, Gaff. I don't need a flying. I'll be grand. 7 foot, not a bother. Not a bother to me. But we've done crisps. We've done loads of other stuff. I was going to get onto solid Easter eggs, but I won't do it to Conan this time.
You're probably the sort of person that likes them. Like I could see you in your jeans jumping across a building with a solid Easter egg.
No. You know the argument behind the solid Easter egg though. You know what I'm talking about.
More chocolate.
Well, I made the argument ages ago to Andy that we should do solid Easter eggs, and he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, if you go down the shop and you buy a crunchy, you bite into a crunchy, and there's all the orange, yellow gear in the middle, right? So they should make the Easter eggs exactly the same as the bars. So when you bite into the egg, the inside of it should be all yellow." He made the point that no, you could go.
You just want a big ball of honeycomb, is what you want.
Yeah. But I was like, why don't you do it? It makes perfect sense. They'd sell loads of them, and he was like, no, because you could go into a football ground and lamp it off some fella's head.
That's not the only reason they don't sell
Well,
it.
he said that,
and the
fact that Cadbury's have definitely had meetings about this before and decided to go against it, and he reckoned if you threw one of those eggs through someone's window and hit someone, and they claim off Cadbury's, and I was like, well, no, because Cadbury's didn't throw the egg, and he was like, yeah, but they definitely claim. I was like, well, no, because if I threw a brick through someone's window and it hit someone and hurt them, they're hardly going to fucking trace the brick as to where it came from and, charge them people. So it's, yeah.
Well, here is two examples. You could bring it into a football ground and throw it off somebody's head, or you could bring it and throw it through somebody's window. Like, well, how did he get from a chocolate Easter egg to that?
Because he reckoned that one of the reasons why the Easter egg of that sort wouldn't go ahead was because of the safety problems around them, and he used football grounds and people sitting watching the telly and an egg coming through the window as two of his points. So there you go.
Yeah, I saw somebody saying about a giant Cadbury egg or cream egg. I'd be well up for that. That's the only exception I would give it, although you'd have a lot of goo inside it then.
Cadbury's cream egg wouldn't be mine now. But listen, it's a conversation. Well, it's not even a conversation of the day. It's a conversation we've had already, but I just thought I'd bring it up. Conan, if you think this chat is mad, you should listen to Gav and Andy's random chats. Yeah, Conan, listen, I'll send you the link to a couple of our random chats. I think there's a best bits one, and you can read. I'll WhatsApp it to you, right? Will you come back on again though? Has this
100%? Yeah, 100%.
This hasn't scared you off or anything?
I'm going to go out now, trouserless, and start jumping to see how far I could.
Yeah.
7 foot is bonkers, Gav. Well,
I'll tell you what to do. Get a bit of chalk, right, and mark it on the ground, and then measure 7 foot and mark it on the ground, right, and then take a good runner up and jump, and see how close to that 7 foot you can get. Because I think the higher you are up in the air, the more there's less oxygen up there to pull you down. I think you'll fly more if you're 50 stories.
That's oxygen to get around your muscles as well to use them.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. You're higher up, you'll fly more. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Right, I'll have a think about it.
Yeah, let me know how you're gonna. Right, that has been the Man on Football show. There was a good bit of football. There was a lot of random stuff, but look, that's what we like doing. And most people in the chat like it as well. Thanks to Conan from the Villa podcast for coming on. As I said, we've loads of shows coming on the Daytrippers during the week. Make sure you subscribe to us, the Villa podcast, and the Man on Football show channel, which will be coming back with a bang from next week. Yeah, that's it. Over now.